Okay, one of the things that I noticed when I was reading through your introductions was that some of you, when you were coming up for your main ideas, when you were trying to generate main ideas to go with your thesis and to support your thesis, a lot of you had problems with your main idea and your thesis. And so today, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and teach you a way for you to check to make sure your main ideas support your thesis. Okay, this part you're going to do basically in your head. And what you're going to do is you are going to state the thesis, and then you're going to test your main ideas to see if they support it. All right, so let's take a look at the first one. Obviously, in this, my mom is my best friend. That's the thesis for all of these examples, and these are some of the main ideas that were written. We need to find out what the problem is with them. Okay, my mom is my best friend because she is a good cook, because she dresses well, because she works hard at her job. What's the problem here? What's the problem here with these main ideas? Dylan?
He dresses well. Doesn't really go much with my mom is my best friend.
Right. People aren't your friends because they dress well, right? Okay, so that doesn't really support the idea that the mom is the best friend, right? What else? Levi?
Her working hard at her job doesn't really concern him.
Right. Working hard at her job really is also not a support for someone's being your best friend, right? So when you're making a thesis statement about your special person, stop and think about whether or not your main ideas are supporting that idea. So when you think about friendship and someone who is a best friend, your main ideas are going to want to have to do with being a best friend. And cooking, being a good cook, doesn't make somebody your best friend. Dressing well and working hard, none of those really go with being a best friend. Okay? So the problems that we're seeing with these main ideas is that they don't support the idea of a best friend. Okay, let's look at the second one. My mom is my best friend because she buys me things now that I am older, when I am at home. What's wrong with these main ideas? Fiona? Okay, but this is just the test. Okay, but yes, you're right. You're correct. They're not full sentences. But this is just the test, the thinking that you do in your head. Lydia? Say which one?
Now that I am older, does not make sense.
Okay, now could this one be revised to say, my mom is my best friend when I was young, now that I'm older, in the future? Would those all go together? Sure they would. Sure they would. What about the one when I am at home? What's wrong with that main idea? Anybody? It's a place, right? And if you're going to talk about when you're at home and you're going to focus on the best friend part, what they do when they're at home, then the other two main ideas should be places as well. All right? They should also be places as well when we go on vacation, when we go to the movies, or do activities. Okay? So can you see how not only do we have to think about, does this support the idea of a best friend, but do they go together as main ideas? Do they make sense together as main ideas? And I think what happens is, as we're racking our brain to try to think of main ideas, we just grab onto our first thoughts without really testing it. All right, let's take a look at the third example. My mom is my best friend because she is fun, because I have a good time with her, because she listens to me. What's wrong with these three main ideas? Riley? Okay, but would you consider being fun a quality that you'd like for a best friend? Yeah, so it does kind of support that.
Attention game changers, please excuse this interruption. At this time, all spreadsheets for lunch ordering are updated on Teams. You will have until 10 o'clock to place your orders this morning. Please have them placed by 10. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else see anything wrong? Take a look at them. If you can't see it from where you're sitting, look in your notebook where you have this glued. Dylan, what do you think?
Isn't because you're strong and because I have a big time control, doesn't that technically mean like the same thing?
It is. It does mean the same thing. So they're overlapping, right? The main ideas overlap. It's just saying the same thing with different words. Okay? But definitely you could see where you want to have a best friend who's fun to be around, right? And you want to have a best friend who listens to you. So those qualities would support the idea of a best friend, but the first two main ideas overlap. Now I'm going to pass back your, we're going to practice actually in a minute with a couple of examples from our class. But when I pass back your work, your introduction, I want you to check. And I want you to see if your main ideas are going to support your thesis statement. Right, and a lot of you did a great job in following the structures, but some of you are still having trouble trying to get the structure down. I think you're forgetting. So let's take a look at this one. We want to prove it. Oh. Excuse me? You can put that in the basket. Thank you. Okay. All right, now here's a separate problem with this one. You're supposed to end with your thesis, so it says, also sometimes she tickles me. All right, so I'm not exactly sure. Everyone has a special someone in their life. It could be your dad or mom or maybe your cousin. For me, my special somebody is my mom. She is caring and always makes me feel better. I'm not sure if that is the thesis or not. She makes me feel better when I am mad or sad. That sounds like it's overlapping, right? She is a good cook. She makes really good mac and cheese and she makes really good soup. Okay, and then it says, lastly, she is really funny. She always makes jokes and she also sometimes tickles me. Okay, so we want to make sure, first of all, that it's very clear where our thesis statement is. All right, because of the structure I taught, we know that the last sentence needs to be the thesis statement. Okay, now when I'm looking at this, being caring and always makes the person feels better, if that's a main idea, it says she makes me feel better when I am mad or sad. It sounds to me like that's overlapping. It's saying the same thing. Okay, so I think that if we look at other examples, I kind of missed that one. Okay, let's take a look at this one as well. We want to be really careful the way we do this, because if we understand the structure, we should be able to go in and find the thesis. So, my grandpa is awesome. All right, let's use the test. My grandpa is awesome because he loves to spend time with me. That's the first one. That supports being awesome. My grandpa is awesome because he valued family. He is thoughtful. He loves to practice sports with me, and so I go to my sports games, okay? It kind of falls apart there because I'm not sure how many main ideas are in here, and if that is what makes Grandpa awesome. All right, it's a little bit detail-y here instead of being like a broad statement to be a main idea. Can you see what I'm talking about when I'm talking about testing? So you need to look at, when you get your paper back, look at the last sentence in your paragraph. That should be your thesis. Then testify looking at the 3 sentences before that. Can you say because and do your main ideas make sense? If they don't, then it's time to revise. Okay? We have to make sure that we're willing to revise. And we want to make sure that we are not going to be just staying with a thesis statement or a main idea that we know doesn't work. Okay, go ahead and take out your writing conference sheet because I did write feedback on here for you, and I'm going to have you enter your information on your conference sheet. So go into your binder, take out your writing conference sheet. What you will find on your paper, you will find a positive, something that you did well, and then you're going to find that triangle, which means change. It's what you should be changing to improve on your next piece. So put today's date down for your conference. The piece of writing, where it says the piece of writing that you're looking at, that's going to be special person introduction. So your special person introduction. And then the plus sign that you see, that's what you did well. The delta or the triangle is what you need to do to improve your work. So copy those down. That way you'll have your goals for your writing set. And then go ahead and prove your thesis. Go ahead and, in your head, prove your thesis. Do your main ideas align with your thesis. So jot down the notes. That way you have a goal for what you're trying to do for the next piece. Or when you actually publish this essay, I'm probably going to have to pull out the ones that was next that I missed yours. Before we, I'm going to go ahead and put this one up under the board. Some of you, whoops. Just to take a look at another one. My dad makes being a kid fun is the thesis statement, which is really nice. My dad makes being a kid fun because my dad helps me when I need it. Now, helping you, I'm not sure Maybe the details, maybe the examples will bring out that funness of helping. My dad makes being a kid fun because he always plays with me. Okay, that sounds like it supports it. And then it says, my dad makes things fun, being a kid fun because he's always there to play with you and he'll play what you want. That sounds to me like they overlap. Two main ideas that overlap. He's always there to play with you and he'll play what you want. My dad always plays with me. Okay? So go ahead, once you write down the plus, what you did well, and the triangle, what you're going to change next time, go ahead and test your main ideas and your thesis, and then you may need to adjust and revise in your journal. If you have to revise or adjust your thesis or your main ideas, then I need you to do that in your journal.